Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Absolute BSS, the Casualpetitive show about Bandai Namco's Battle Spirit Saga. You may see today that I have some Star Wars items pulled up on the screen. That's a little sneak peek for what we might look at later. I have Andrew with me on the show today. How you doing, Andrew?
Not too bad. I finally recovered from Battleshot Saga, so I figured I'd show my face on this podcast again.
Dude, I needed a couple days after that. I-
My liver has been crying since then, but we brought one back just for the podcast today.
oh,
So
hell yeah.
I'm looking forward to Battleshot Saga Round 2.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, I don't know when we're gonna do that again. Maybe eventually. But I mean, it was a ton of fun, but it was also just like, yeah, really put a strain on my liver and just was a lot. But yeah,
At
well,
least
I went.
Cam's okay.
Yeah, I was a little worried about Cam. I texted him a few times, just like, "Hey, buddy, how you doing?" And he's like, "I threw up pizza in my front yard," and I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds about right." um, but yeah, that was a ton of fun. If anybody hasn't watched Battleshot Saga, we've got the full like 3.5 hours of it up on our YouTube channel, but we also have a 40-minute like highlights reel. I wanted to make the highlights reel like 10 minutes or so, but there was just too much that was making me crack up. So, including like 10 minutes of Cam trying to figure out how to finish the game and kill me at one point. So, ton of fun. Yeah, speaking of Cam and Angel, they weren't able to join us today, unfortunately. Angel and Cam both very swamped with work stuff, but we have Andrew with us, and we'll have some fun today. First things first, I wanted to talk about the Battle Spirit Saga Tensei Community Battle of the Best Round 2. This is a community tournament, online tournament, hosted by the Battle Spirit Saga Tensei Community Discord. There's currently 28 players signed up. It's happening on March 23rd at noon. You could be player number 29 if you'd like. Or if you can't join and you still want to watch and keep up with the action, go ahead and hit the subscribe button to our YouTube channel. We're going to be live on March 23rd, casting the event, talking about all the stuff that's happening, and hopefully giving you all a very silly, fun, good time to enjoy some Battle Spirits. So, again, March 23rd at noon, it's going to be a best of one online webcam tournament. So, go ahead and participate if you can, or if you can't make it, make sure you catch the stream. We'll also have a VOD of the stream up later if you just are super busy that Saturday and you can't make it at all. But I'll have the link down in the description for that. So really excited for these community events. We recently casted that event at Bulldog, which was a ton of fun. So I want to keep doing more stuff like that.
For sure. I think you guys killed it with the Bulldogs cast. I thought everything went super well. Um,
Thanks, man.
I think this will be another like good event as well, especially like online. It allows more players to like show up. Ours was like in person, so travel was kind of like a weird time, like right after Worlds and stuff as well. So this would be a good time for people to kind of jump in, test a little bit more of the set four meta, especially with some events starting to come up with Texas, and I know Europe has their event coming up, Oceania, Mexico. So be a good time to kind of see what everybody's been brewing up over these past couple weeks, and maybe a best of one will be a good time to dust off the good old white aggro decks.
Yeah, I wonder how much the best of one format is going to impact what decks we see, because it's like, my mind immediately goes, we're playing set four, so my mind immediately goes like, we'll see lots of Hydra, and I'm sure we will, but I'm also just like, wonder if you could take some people by surprise if you put together some sort of white aggro or red aggro build and just like try to rush it all out. So really excited to see how that goes, and super excited to cast it as well. um, we have a lot of fun casting events too. So if anybody out there is running a community event, I think I said this last time on the show, I'll say it again. Just hit us up. You can email us at absolutebsspod@gmail.com or just comment below in the video. And we would love to cast some more community events. Anything we can do to support this game and hopefully have some fun with the community. So you mentioned Texas. That's coming up. So you're going with a little crew, I understand, Andrew.
Yeah. So I have a pretty good team put together for this. Mainly just three of us trying to figure out this meta right now and what fits best. Can't give too many names yet. We'll disclose that later. But
Kermit the
I think
Frog.
pretty much. But no, it's gonna be a fun event. I think it should be a good twist as to what's happened from year one. So kind of getting some other good perspectives on some of the good things in this game and what we can do to succeed in this tournament. So I'm very excited for it. But I also have a big group from my locals going. I think from Bulldog, there's close to 10 of us who will be going. So should be a really good showing from the Indiana community. And hopefully we'll be able to go down there and meet some new people and get some of our guys who haven't really got the chance to go and play in these events for year one, that exposure into playing in these big tournaments. And not only will it make us a stronger local community, but just getting that exposure and everything will just make everyone see the game from like a more competitive level as well.
Yeah, I always exciting for players to go to their first competitive event. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for those players for sure. Um, what are you? Obviously, you don't want to give away any of your secret sauce, but you know, like, what are you predicting to see a lot of, and like, what are you, you know, thinking as you're heading in?
So it's kind of weird right now because some people would say the game is healing. Some people would say it's not helping at all. But there's a scarcity of cards right now. A lot of people are trying to get product. A lot of people are trying to complete their decks that they want to play. Um, we'll get into the tournament promos later, but that's a whole nother thing. So it's kind of hard to predict what everyone is going to play just because like people may not have all the resources they need to play certain decks. So from the outside looking in, person would probably say the whole field is going to be Hydra or the whole field is going to be Ira. But I mean, if you look on TCG Player, Hydra decks are Hydra cards, I guess, for just the regular base X rare is like $35, I think.
Hmm.
Still, Ira is still like $30. So I mean, even from a standpoint where you're just trying to like get the cards you need to build the deck you want to play, like even financially, it's tough to get the cards. So
Yeah, and there's no prize.
I,
I mean, there's like travel vouchers you can win at this event, but there's no like prize money. So it's like
correct.
you can't even go in thinking like, oh, I'll just buy the cards, and if I do really well, I'll get all that money back. Like you'll get a travel voucher if you do really well, but you know you're not going to
Exactly.
pay for your cards that way.
So I think what we're going to see, I think we're going to take a look at some of the decks that haven't really changed very much, that have slight additions that are still competitively like viable.
Hmm.
I think like the best example of that, right, would be like maybe your green decks or maybe like a purple deck to where like you're only like teching in like two or three of the cards from this set maybe and your deck is still insanely good and competitively viable, that people may sway to playing those types of decks because of not being able to get product. um, but for the people who can get product, I think there will still be a decent amount of your hydras and tigers and iras. So I
Oh
think
my.
50% of the field exactly, I think 50% of the field is probably going to be people just playing decks that they're comfortable with, that haven't really changed that much, that are still going to be good. Maybe because they couldn't get all the resources they needed to play a different deck. And then I think half of the room is just going to be pretty much people playing your meta decks that everyone has talked about and is scared of right now.
Yeah. Um. The the thing about I think you make a really good point. Is like a lot of these cards have gotten like so pricey, or like for battle spirits cards they're pretty pricey. So it's like, will people really like dish out the cash to build their Hydra build if they don't have all the pieces yet. I mean, there was a minute there, it maybe still is, but Sathagua, the mill frog, was it looked like somebody bought them all and then they were like selling them for $150 on TCG Player. So it was like, you know, uh, if you don't already have your mill frogs, like you're kind of priced out of getting them now, or like you might just have to wait until the event's over, and maybe like some of the supply comes back in. So there's some interesting stuff going on with the market for sure.
Just the low price of $600 for a playset. I think we'll see 4 of those in every deck
Well,
in Texas. But no, I'm just kidding.
I
Uh,
mean, if you get your $4,000 travel voucher from it,
maybe.
you'd have to, if you're a true gambling man, a true battle spirits degenerate, why not? Just go for it.
Yeah. Texas is kind of one of those weird things as well because it's an event that I am a little bit nervous for. Number one is this is the first like event that I've been to where there's no top cut, so
Oh
it
yeah,
kind of makes it even more nerve wracking when you're playing in Swiss. We did try to start like a petition, basically to try to get a top cut based on like player votes and who all would be down for it. So it potentially we could have one the day of the event. I guess it just depends on what everyone decides, but it's still like when you're playing for, I know it's not cash prizing, but $4,000 to get you to the Pro Fest, and that covers a lot of your expenses to travel out to wherever the Pro Fest is going to be. Um, I mean, not having a top cut that can sway people like to not even go to the event. You know what I mean? So I
yeah,
know there's a lot of people who are just on the fence about going just because there's no guarantee and it doesn't really reward the best player in the room, right? It rewards the person who draws the best that day, but it doesn't reward your good players who may have had that one unlucky loss in Swiss where their deck just didn't do what it was supposed to for one round, and now
yeah,
they're X1 and they finish fifth. Like,
yeah. But like they
so
could have
it's
made it to top cut and then gone all the way and gotten first place, right?
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So
I will say on the other side of that, and maybe this is just poor planning, but it is on Easter weekend, and so when I saw there wasn't going to be a top cut, that actually started to persuade me a little bit more into thinking of going because I was like, well, maybe we can finish up in one day, and like my family's not like super into Easter. We're not like it's not like a huge holiday for us, but like my mom always throws like a big party and all of our family comes. It's just like the one holiday a year that like all of my family comes together. I mean, of course we get together for Thanksgiving and Christmas, but that's like a while away. So it's like one of those things I didn't really want to miss. So I was like, maybe I could go if I got like a red eye flight that night to get out of there and get back home or something. But it was like a combination of like the location and then Easter weekend that kind of put the nail in the coffin for me, unfortunately. But yeah, maybe for some people, the no top cut, if they're in a similar situation to me, like they want to get home for Easter, could be a thing. Maybe that's nice. But then to your point, for competitive players, top cut is something that is, you know, you want that.
yeah. Another thing, like with it too, I'm sure if you're anywhere engaged with any part of this game on social media, if you're on Facebook, you've seen the countless comments underneath the Battle Spirits Facebook post of people begging for year two organized play news.
Yeah.
But I think that's another thing that's swaying people away from going to these events as well is we don't know what we're playing for, and I think that's a huge just kind of downfall as to playing this compared to like the other games right now is sure we have like a little bit of a roadmap, you can call it that, but we have no idea about pricing, location, like price to even like if we're gonna have to pay to play in the event, like if it's just so many like things that are up in the air that sure like we can go to these events and play, get our pro tour invites and be happy, but I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to go to Pro Tour if I get my invite. Um, just from
Yeah.
scheduling issues and like kind of like the other thing along. with this, right, is Bandai took forever to announce like the pricing for like the Texas event and things like that. And you're giving players a week or two basically to book their flights at like maybe a reasonable rate. Otherwise, you're going to have to book it the week before an event, and your flight ticket's going to be $700 round trip. And then it just becomes like another financial burden for people to go to your event that doesn't even offer cash pricing anymore. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of the decisions they're doing, some of them make sense from a company standpoint, right? Like I understand maybe taking away cash pricing from the Grand Open, right? But the communication aspect of Bandai right now has just been a complete and total loss from the company's standards, I think, just because they can't communicate correctly with the player base.
Yeah, I sometimes feel like Bandai, I don't know their actual corporate structure, but it sometimes feels like they have these different divisions all making decisions for different aspects of their games. And they're just not really. It's like, what's the expression? Like the left hand doesn't know what the right one's doing, or something. Like it's sort of like one division is in charge of like putting together the roadmap, but then the other division is in charge of like actually setting up the events and like the locations and all the logistical stuff. And so like the roadmap team maybe isn't as communicative with the other like logistics team, and they just like launch the roadmap. The logistics team still has no idea like where these events are going to be. And it just kind of feels like there's just not only like a lack of communication with us, but also maybe like internally as well. That would be my guess. Just because I think there is some excitement behind this game, and everyone I've talked to about Set Four specifically has said that they've really enjoyed opening the packs. Now, as far as how people feel about the meta being created by Set 4, I think there's some mixed feelings, but the actual pack opening experience, I mean, I opened a bunch of boxes. It's a ton of fun. And I think I would be really even more excited buying and opening cards if I was also like planning events I'm going to, or like thinking about, you know, the maybe if I go to Texas, I get a ProFest invite, and the next ProFest is in somewhere really cool. Maybe it's in, I think you and I talked about maybe like Hawaii would be a cool spot or
But
something, you
yeah,
know? $4,000 travel voucher to Hawaii, like hell yeah, I'm going to Texas if that's what's coming up, you know? But
exactly.
who knows? It could be like a $4,000 travel voucher to like uh I don't know. I don't want to insult anybody. I'm not going to throw any names of places out. But you know, somewhere boring that nobody wants to go. Uh but I'm just like, I'm going to throw out a name of a state.
Use your imagination.
Yeah. I'm going to I'm going to throw out a name of a state, and then somebody in the comments will be like, "Hey, actually that place is really beautiful, and we have the world's largest ball of yarn, and we have a lot to offer." um but yeah, I'm interested to see where the pro fests are. I think another thing too is like how many pro fests and how many grand opens are there going to be? Because it's like if there's only a couple more grand opens, and then like, you know, Texas ends up being one of the few, I might end up kicking myself later for not going, but I just don't really know.
Yeah. I think you made a really good point on something you touched on. Like a lot of people being excited for Set Four. Since Set Four has came out, we've actually gained, I think, a total of 3 to 4 new players for our locals, which is like super good for not only like our local player base, but as far as like the game health in general, is I see a lot of people who are like jumping back into the game, or maybe they're picking up for the first time and they're asking questions and they're wanting to know rules. And I think this is like a prime time where if Bandai really wanted to push the game, like now is the time to do it. You have a
Yeah.
lot of cool stuff coming out. Like you're getting ready to have a full collaboration set come out. You're pushing, I think, the right product to the people,
Yeah.
but you have to get your organized play structure under control if you want to have any competitive scene. Like this is supposed to be your competitive TCG. Like that's what you branded it as, this big prize pool. And if that's like what you want it to be, you just got to do a better job at refining that and making that like your goal of this game, rather than like pushing out some products, hopefully people buy it, and then maybe like if somebody's free 2 weeks from now, we'll just throw an event at them and hopefully people show up.
Yeah. No, I've seen the same. Shout out to I believe it's Meta Beginnings in our Discord. Just hopped in. I think been a member of our Discord for a while, but just hopped back in today to say like, "Hey, I'm getting back into the game. Help me build a deck." And I
Hmm.
love to see stuff like that of returning players and just totally brand new players. And I think this actually goes to a conversation that Cam and I had in the last episode, which I'd be interested to hear your thoughts because it was one of our listener questions was actually about like how would we feel if Union Arena ended up in Walmart, but then Cam and I had this whole conversation about how awesome it would be if Battle Spirits ended up in Walmart, and I truly think that one of the better ways to get people interested in this game is to just provide as much exposure as possible. And I wonder how many people started playing One Piece, which has become Bandai's like most popular TCG, because they saw the cards at Walmart. Like how many people were just like hanging out, maybe gonna buy some Magic cards or something, and then we're like, hang on a second, there's a One Piece card game. Let me pick up a couple starter decks and check that out. So like, I mean, what do you think about some things that Bandai could do to get this game in front of more people?
I think there's a little bit better marketing techniques that they could do. Um, I know Avril Lavigne. If Avril Lavigne is watching this podcast, I'm sorry, but I don't know if that's like your number one choice, right? Like,
We need
um,
Sydney Sweeney with Battle Spirit Saga cards. Come on, Bandai, make it happen. she's like the number one celeb. I feel like right now. I see her everywhere. So
oh
it's
yeah,
or like
we should have had Taylor Swift swing at Bandai Fest in LA. That
yeah.
would have been exactly what we
We
needed.
need we need a Dune Part 2 and Bandai Battle Spirit Saga crossover set is what we needed. That would have been pretty sick.
So obviously, I'm just a casual or a competitive player, however you want to describe it. But I think like some things they could do. Your game doesn't have an IP, right? So it's not going to be as easy to get off the ground as a game like Dragon Ball or One Piece. But you're Bandai, so you have access to some huge names, which they've already started to dive into a little bit with Evangelion and with the Gundam collabs and stuff like that. Which that's a whole nother topic. But like look at the things that your company is really doing well on. So if you look at like the video game aspect, right? Like Elden Ring or Dark Souls games, like that is a huge game. Like game of the year, like why not go with something like that that more people are going to look at and be like, "Oh, there's a booster pack with literally like their favorite Elden Ring boss or something on that." Like
So
that's
someone
awesome. Like, I wanna buy that, you know what I mean? Or, like,
so
just stuff that I guess appeals more to the public. I know in Japanese battle spirits, they have, like, Godzilla.
yeah.
Godzilla is another huge thing that people know about, especially over here in, like, the West. Like, why not, like, start pushing those things that are gonna appeal more to us? And I think the one thing that's really hurting them too is Bandai does not have a North American, like, side of the company. Um, so maybe they're just, like, a little lost as to kind of like what the market over here is, or maybe some information as to like what would really push their game to the next level. Because the things they're pushing out may be huge hits in Japan, but it's just not the same over here. So I think maybe a little bit more research from them, kind of pushing your higher, like look into like the gaming industry and kind of see like what people are interested in there and maybe collaborate that into your card game a little bit as well. um, just like different things that they could do that they have all the access in the world to push this game like to that next level. And I think the last thing is maybe updating some of the arts. When you look at like the alternate arts of cards this game, like your SPRs, like who they brought in, like the collaboration rares, um, like your signature cards that are box toppers. I think those are all like super good looking, right? Like they do a really good job at the SPRs, just kind of like the artist designs for cards, right? And then you have like the base rarity Thorn Prison that looks like a picture in a book that my mom read when she was a kid. So it's like some of the arts just look really like old, I guess. And I think like what is really like selling like pretty hard right now in TCGs, um, is kind of that like updated art style, right? Like people like the flashy cards, people like the stuff that looks new and exciting. Maybe not like a hand drawn deer running around with a thorn. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the thorn cards get this the short end of the stick, really. Like
Well,
binding
besides
thorn.
that binding thorn SPR though.
Well, the binding thorn SPR, that's an entirely different conversation. But now, if they had just put, I was gonna make a call back to my Sydney Sweeney joke earlier. um, but yeah, I definitely, yeah, the art could definitely use some updates. In some ways, I will say Battle Spirits in a lot of the cards does have some really fantastic art though. Like you said, a lot of the SPRs look awesome. And Thorn Prison I think is an example where I've never even really thought about it because I always use the Mobile Suit Gundam version, the beam rifle.
Mhm.
You mentioned Elden Ring. I found out last time because we talked a bit about this on the last episode. Cam and I did. Apparently, Bandai doesn't own Elden Ring anymore. Apparently, it was like there's some sort of thing going on
Just
with
from
like,
software buy it out.
yeah, they like bought it back or bought it out from them or something. But I I don't know all the details, so I'm not going to speak on it. But unfortunately, an Elden Ring crossover may not happen for us anytime soon, at least. Um,
Okay.
but
Bad example. Sorry.
no, it's fine. Godzilla, though, I mean, didn't he just win like a Grammy or something? Godzilla.
Something like that.
So maybe it's a good time to collab with the big man himself. Um, yeah, I mean, I definitely think some collabs could be cool. But I really think that some of the best ways to get more players is really just to, I don't know, just create some like brand recognition, brand awareness. Just like I don't think a lot of people even know that this game exists. So just like getting it out there in different ways, whether that be like putting some packs and starter decks on Walmart shelves, or if it is partnering with like celebrities or brands and things to kind of bring it to the forefront. Um, I think there's a lot of people who would really love this game that just don't even know it exists. I'm sure there's like a lot of Magic the Gathering players are kind of where my mind goes. Like I feel like I always run into Magic players that are still playing Magic, uh, mainly just because it's like readily available and like easy to find games to play. But maybe they're interested in branching out to other card games. It's just like, I'll just play Magic because it's like my card shop has tournaments every week. I can find the cards at Walmart. It's easy to get into and play. There's an app. An app would do wonders, but I don't
Yeah.
know. I will say, just branching off a little bit, speaking of the app, now that I think about it, have you played the Dragon Ball Super Fusion World app at all?
I have not.
Okay.
I have bought 2 starter decks, and it kinda gets me back into, like, the card market of things, right? Um, I've only found 2 starter decks.
Yeah.
So I haven't, like, really got a chance to even, like, get my hand on, like, any physical product. And, like, I personally, that's, like, a big thing for me, right? Like, I enjoy being able to play the game, like, physically rather than on a client, just because I enjoy, like, the human interaction of it. I feel like I make better decisions and stuff, like, when the cards are actually, like, physically in my hand. Makes me think more. So I'm a big, like, in-person, uh, like, physical, like, player of the game. So I haven't, like, jumped into the client for 2 reasons. Number 1, is because I have been trying out a couple different games. Number 2, is because I just don't wanna, like, jump in there and have no idea, like, what I'm doing and just lose a whole bunch because then I'm just gonna be, like, unmotivated. Like, because I don't have, like, somebody who I can, like, just bounce that question off of.
Yeah.
It's more just like, okay, like, I gotta sit here and get my ass kicked 30 times and then hopefully I figure it out and then go
Yeah.
from there. So it's just like a personal thing, I guess. But Everyone who I've talked to has genuinely enjoyed it. I know Caleb has been taking some names in the Dragon Ball community, so he's been
Nice.
playing a lot of in-person pre-release events and going up through the ranks on the client as well. So I've heard it's like an actual like pretty good addition to the game. I've heard it's had like a few bugs, but from what I've heard, like from community feedback, I think it's been pretty solid, and I think they knocked it out of the park with it.
Yeah, I don't own any like Windows operating system devices. All my stuff is like Apple. So unfortunately, I
Hmm.
haven't had a chance to play it at all. But Cam and Angel have both played it, and I think they both enjoyed it quite a lot. I've heard some things about it. Like I've heard the matchmaking isn't like as good as it could be. I've heard it doesn't pair you with people who are on the same like ladder tier as you. It'll just pair you with like whoever's available. So you could be like, you know, this really high rank and then end up fighting someone who's like down in bronze or something, and it's not like the best ladder experience. But and then I've heard some stuff, a couple things about the economy, I guess, like but I don't know. I'm used to uh playing like Magic the Gathering Arena, so I'm just used to like, you know, if I'm gonna play this game digitally, I'm gonna drop a bunch of cash on it. It's just kind of, I feel like it just comes with the territory. It's like, oh yeah, you can play Magic Arena for free technically, but if you want to actually win, you're gonna have to drop some dough, you know. Um, but
I
the
like
one
it,
thing I
yeah.
did see about it is that I didn't like. I guess if you purchase like gems in the game, they disappear after 90 days, which seems weird to me that they would like program that in. I feel like I don't know. I'm not an app programmer, so I don't really know. Like I'm not a game
Yeah.
programmer, game designer, game dev, I guess. But so I don't really know how that works. If that was like a limitation of the system, or if it was like they intentionally built that in. If they intentionally built it in, I feel like that's kind of shitty. But you know, is what it is. Needs some money to support the client, I suppose. But I definitely want to support it though, because I like if I do get the opportunity to play it, I definitely will, because I really want to see them make more digital clients for their other games. So that's kind of the
Mm.
big thing for me. I want to see Battle Spirits in there.
I would love that. They did do the board game arena like starter deck, um, I guess online client,
Yeah,
but have you got to play that?
I haven't. No, I haven't touched it. Have you tried it?
Uh, yeah, so I got to like test that out, and so I tried it on mobile the first time, and it sucked. Like if you try it on mobile, it's so bad.
Okay.
It's really laggy. You can't really do the things you want to do. So I definitely recommend, like, if you do get to try it, play it on your computer. Because I tried it on my computer afterwards, and it ran a lot better. There's
Hmm.
still some bugs with it, but I think from people who are like trying to get interested in the game and just want a place to where they can go and try it out, uh, it's a really good tool. A lot of the um, I guess, like, effects from your cards, when you play them, they'll automatically, like, go through, so you don't have to, like, sit there and remember, like, all your triggers, like, the game will do it for you, and I think that's, like, a big thing for, like, new players too, so,
Yeah.
if you do, like, miss something because you're not familiar with the game, you don't have to worry about it, the game will fix it for you, but it's just, like, a really good introductory tool and a really good, like, marketing technique maybe,
Yeah.
dare I say that about Bandai, about, like, just trying to get their product out there, but it's definitely a good way to introduce, like, the new players to it. Um, I don't think they're going to use it as, like, a full on online client, though, so I think it's just limited to starter decks, so I do believe that is something that they could be, like, missing with, because that is like a super good opportunity to introduce an online client for the game, especially for a game that is like Bandai's baby, right? Like you want this to be a game that people can play anywhere at any time. Why not try to push an online client for it for people to play it? Like I don't know. That's just another thing that I have that I think that they could do something a little bit better. I guess they've started with it. They put something in front of the new player base, but maybe down the road we'll get something a little bit more concrete that we can actually use instead of like loading up tabletop simulator and trying to play games on like a third party client.
Yeah.
Maybe Bandai will come out with their own thing.
Yeah, I wonder what the. I've never even heard of that website until they posted that they were uploading stuff to there. So I wonder what the discoverability is. Like, I wonder if new players really will find it on there and try out the starter decks and learn how to play the game, or if like, because I mean, people who play the game a lot aren't really that interested in just having starter deck battles. I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be fun just to mess around with it and be like, oh, that's cool. Can play Battle Spirits digitally. That's nice. But then beyond that, I don't really think that there's really much there for people who are super into the game. So I hope that it does help people
Mm.
discover it, though. I don't know if maybe there are people just browsing that site that would come across it. I don't really know what the user base is like there, but um, should we talk a bit about because we've kind of been touching on it, but not really diving in. Should we talk about like prices of cards in set four? I've got
Yeah.
TCG Player pulled up here. So seems like something that's interesting is the cases and individual booster boxes are holding their value, which
Yeah.
is something that I'm not used to as a Battle Spirits player, and it's very nice.
If I remember right, I think it was Cosmic who talked about this the other day. Said that the price of the booster box has went up from what it's like the lowest point. I think it's jumped back up a few dollars, right?
Yeah, so I actually purchased my boxes at $65, and it's currently sitting at 77. So, uh, it's pretty pretty decent price that it's holding on to there. The For a second there, when I purchased my boxes, there were a couple sellers that were kind of like racing to the bottom. And so I think maybe I
Mm.
just got really lucky and swooped in and grabbed my boxes while they were dropping. Um, but yeah, it's nice to see it back up at 77. And also, um, it's nice that it's available. I don't know. How did you order your product? You ordered it through your local store, or did you order it online?
So like one thing like I will always try to do is when a new set comes out, I'll always try to at least get like 2 boxes from my, local game store, just to try to, like, help Scott out
Yeah.
and help out Bulldog, just so I can give back to them. But and I'm looking for, like, bulk product, I'm more than likely gonna go through someone else,
Hmm.
just because, like, it is the convenient way, right, for people to offload product, like, you'll get a super good deal on it. But with that, I don't try to be selfish in buying that much product. So when I do get like a case, so like I got a case of set four, um, I've been giving back to like the people in the community and stuff, like offering them like a way to get cards for like a good price, so they don't have to like scrounge through TCG Player and pay $30 for shipping for 4 cards and wait 3 weeks. Like
Yeah.
things like that. So I try to help out the people around me as well when I am able to. And I think just like with set four being like a healthy card market and stuff right now, I got a really good deal on a case for when it first came out. So I was very excited about it. Man, I mean, when your XRs, your base rare XRs are like $30 plus, um, that's how a game should be, right? Like if
Yeah.
you need like playable, really good cards, like yeah, you're gonna have to pay a little bit extra for them. It's not like, "Oh, I'm gonna hop on this website, pay $2 and build this broken deck." Like, in a healthy game, I think you're probably looking at, like, that probably 30 to $40 for, like, your staple cards in your deck. So, um, I buy my product mainly from I guess, like, if I'm buying, like, big amounts of product from other people, but, I think even that's, like, getting a little bit more pricey to do that because like you said, the box or prices of boxes are going up, the prices of cases are going up. So
Yeah.
now depending on like what your local game store is doing to like sell boxes and stuff, sometimes you can might be able to find a better deal getting it from your local game store. So
Yeah.
it's really good to see that the prices are kind of being healthy and the game is leveling out. So mainly I think it's just because everybody wants to get their hydras, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well, I'm scrolling through here and it's like there's so many cards that are like $40, $25. Some SPR, like SPR Binding Thorn, $15. SPR Genbu, $20. Like, um, it the box being at $77, and then the fact like that you can the fact that you could pull some of these cards out of that box, it makes, I think it adds to the excitement of the box opening. Is like the box is still honestly very affordable. Like I'm used to, again, like I do have like a bit of a Magic background, like way in the past from buying boxes, and so like boxes of Magic cards are not cheap. Especially if they're like some of the newer sets, I feel like that have come out recently, like the Lord of the Rings set and stuff, were very expensive. And so like $77 for a booster box of cards feels like a great price for me. And then when you think about like how a lot of those packs have really interesting cards in them, like there's a hit in like I think 14 out of 24 packs or something. Like there's going to be an Evangelion collab rare at least in quite a few of your packs, and then there's a chance you could get like an SPR Hydra that's worth like $45, and then that pays for most of your box, if you want to think about it in that way. Or maybe you pull a Saga rare, and you know that you got a fantastic deal in that case. So I definitely think it's nice to see the card prices and the boxes hold value, and also I think it adds to the box opening experience. The X rares are difficult to pull out of this set. I noticed, just from opening all the boxes I did. Like I have play sets of most things, but the X rares are just so tough. Like I think I only have 2 Genbus, and I opened like how many boxes? I think like 8 boxes. And I only got 2 Nocturnal Genbus. I do have 4 Hydras, one of which is an SPR, so I was pretty happy about that. But and then there's other cards like the Frost Tiger. I have like so many of him. I have like 7. But
And I can agree with that too. Like, um, I'll just strictly talk about like opening up my case, right? Like
uh-huh.
out of opening up 12 boxes, I mean there was some X rares that I got maybe like 6 of, or like 5 of, you know what I mean? And that's like 12 boxes. So I think the pull rates are definitely a little bit down, but I think that's good from a market standpoint as well, right? Because then the cards are worth more money. Um, a card like specifically I have in mind is a Bark Maiden Lucerium. Um,
Yeah.
like the first couple days, it was like $8, and it just kind of like a normal, like what I thought most of the X rares would like end up around. I think the lowest listing right now on TCG is like $21, maybe,
Yeah, it's
is what I saw today.
$21. Yeah.
Yeah, so like it just shows like these cards are not like a guarantee when you open boxes. So you have to, if you want to keep opening boxes, you have to open up more product to get those cards you want to pull.
Yeah.
But other side of that too, if you, oh, good.
Oh, I was just gonna say I managed to get a play set of these out of my 8 boxes, but that's it. I just have the 4, so it was a tough pull.
Oh yeah. Out of my case, like I was able to get like a master set for myself, so I was able to get 4 of every X rare. Um, and then I've bought a few singles along the way too. So I am just I have a couple sets of certain X rares that
Yeah. I
that way like I can hold on to like either some special arts or things like that.
I see
But
a Mock Turtle
uh,
Gembu here sitting at $3.99. I'm gonna have to scoop those up after we get off this podcast.
I think another thing that helps a little bit like with the pools was the CXs, like having the chance of getting like a CX,
Yeah.
uh, can like help you like complete some play sets of things as well. Like that's just like kind of an added incentive to buy the box, right? Because the Hydra CX is still probably what, like $80 to $100. I haven't even looked at the price of it.
I think it's sitting at 89.99 right now. So
Yeah, and I mean just one of those like either A pays for your box or B like it helps you complete your play set of Hydra.
yeah.
So I think it's a really cool addition that they added in with this set. Just being able to like make some of the extras like collaboration rares. Um, and there's like some pretty good ones, right? Like
Yeah.
Mach Inbu is a CX, like Tricera Warrior is like a super playable card in red right now. That's a CX. So it really does like give you an extra opportunity to like build up your card, like uh, I don't know, like build up your decks and things like that. So I think it's cool.
Yeah, it even if you're not interested in Evangelion, like you maybe are interested in getting your fourth Hydra, and then you pull the Ava Hydra, and you're like, okay, sweet. uh,
Exactly.
um,
Shout out to Cam.
yeah, it's it also again adds to the booster box opening experience because I was trying to pull my playset of Hydras, and so I know the like odds of pulling stuff, and so I'm like, okay, I've pulled all my X rares, I've already pulled both of my SPRs, so like I don't have any way to get a regular or SPR Hydra anymore, but there's still two more collaboration rare cards in my box, and I haven't pulled those yet. So like one of those could be the Hydra. And so it just added
Mhm.
to the suspense while I was opening my packs. So it again, I think that this they really hit it out of the park with this set as far as like just making the packs really fun to open. And I do like Evangelion. Do you like Evangelion? Are you like a fan or have you ever seen it?
I like just started watching it, so
Okay.
um, I'm not too far into it. I'm like maybe 2 episodes. So
Yeah.
so far I've liked it, but
Yeah.
I I'm not too far into it to where I can have like an honest opinion, I guess. I've
Yeah.
heard the ending though is like really sad.
Well,
So
so I'm and no spoilers here, but I will say the way that the show works is for the first like half of it, maybe even like 2/3 of it. It's just like a giant mecha anime with some story stuff kind of brewing that maybe you're figuring out like, huh, that's weird. And then like towards the end you're like, holy shit. What is this? This is not what I thought it was anymore. And like, stuff happens along the way as well that just if you've never seen it before will just absolutely shock you. So it's a really good show because it's like some of the episodes are very like giant mecha anime like filler episodes like let's pull out the giant
mhm.
mechs and fight the monster, and then other ones are like they just hit you right in the heartstrings. So really great show. I definitely highly recommend it to anybody who hasn't seen it yet. In fact, what you should do is order some boxes of set 4, sit down in front of your TV, and watch some episodes of Evangelion while you open your cards. Could be a fun Friday night.
There you go.
Or Thursday or Tuesday night. I don't know. Who knows? Um, yeah. Anything else you want to talk about as far as card prices?
uh, the only last comment I have on it is like it'll be interesting to see what a few of the card prices do after Texas and like after these like first wave of pre-grand opens. And I'm wondering if
Yeah.
they're going to go up, go down. So really interested to see what happens after.
Yeah, let me see if I can find I can never search for this card because I can never remember how to spell the freaking name. The
Which one is
Millfrog.
it?
Millfrog.
TSATH is what I always type in.
There it is. Oh, yep, still setting $150.
Well, shout out to that guy, whoever's selling them for $150. Hopefully you get paid, dude. That's all I gotta say.
It looks like the last sale was $30, but well, yeah, I mean, it's like I don't think it's gonna stick around at 150. It'll probably be. I imagine it's gonna drop after Texas. This is, you know,
It's a weird one because I mean, there's a lot of local scenes that like aren't firing, right? And like this is the first set where it's like the store like could have not signed up for it, so there's not as many in circulation.
yeah,
Whereas there's a bunch of axe fighters in circulation, right? Because everybody was hosting events, or if they weren't, they're selling their tournament kits. Now it's a select few. So, I mean, it's a very limited card market when it comes to like your tournament promos and stuff now. So, it may be getting back into that axe fighter scenario where we see tournament promos hit that $30 to $40 range, and that's like a normal thing.
yeah.
So, it's just a fair warning for the future.
I mean, a few of these did sell for $30. So, I mean, there's definitely like there's people in the market who will pay that much for them. Um,
Oh yeah.
Looks like they sold yesterday actually. I don't know if maybe they were purchased by the person who's selling them for 150, but uh it's
That could be.
yeah. But yeah, I mean it's crazy. I've never seen a Battle Spirits card this high in price. So it's interesting, that's for sure. I don't have a playset of these, and unless the price of these comes down, I don't think I ever will. I think I'm just gonna abstain. Uh and hope that maybe Bandai makes I don't know, an alternate version or a different way to get it or something. But that's where I'm at with the mill frog, unfortunately.
Triple F. You're in the Brick Brothers Discord. Triple F, baby.
um, well, that's pretty much all we've got to talk about for Battle Spirit Saga. But if anybody wants to stick around, I think we're going to talk a little bit about the new Star Wars card game because you've had some experience with that. So I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts are so far. If you are going to go ahead and check out, because you were just here for Battle Spirit Saga content, do me a favor and join our Discord, link down in the description. We have a lot of fun in there, and Andrew's in there. So if you want to talk to Andrew, just go in there and then tag him, and he'll probably talk to you. In fact, you don't even have to tag him. He'll talk to you even if you don't. And I will as well. But we have a lot of fun in there. There's people posting decks. I definitely want to move us towards having more like community night type stuff at some point. I've been talking about it for a while, but it's definitely something I'd really like to do. And yeah, it's just a good time, good group of people in there. So join our Discord, subscribe to the channel, keep up with us, and email us at absolutebsspod@gmail.com if you, for some reason, prefer to communicate with us that way. But yeah, let's move on and talk about Star Wars Unlimited.
Well, but before we go there, you
Oh.
guys have been casting a lot of events. When are we going to get an Absolute BSS hosted event?
That's also something I'd really like to do. I think that'd be really fun. I don't know, but it's definitely something I'm interested in. Without spoiling too much, mainly because I don't even really know what we're doing yet. We have been talking to some other Battle Spirit Saga content creators about maybe collaborating on some stuff. So stay tuned for that. I don't really know what that's going to look like at all. So that really wasn't telling anybody anything to say that. But but if you've paid attention to some interactions we've had with other Battle Spirit Saga creators, you'll know who we might be collaborating with. You'll see. But yeah, I don't think an Absolute BSS event is out of the question. Maybe sometime down the road. But yeah, Star Wars. I have Sabine Wren pulled up right now, actually, because you were telling me about a very special card that you got out of your packs.
Yep. So I have a case on the way, which a case in this game is only 6 boxes. So, but the case prices are still floating around like 500, 5,500, like around like that price range right now. So like booster boxes you can get for just shy of $100. So pretty healthy card game right now. It has a huge IP obviously following it. So the card market is really good for a lot of these cards right now. But yeah, I pulled a showcase rare, which is basically like their max rarity cards of Sabine Wren, which is, in my opinion, and I think in a lot of people's opinion in the game, a top 3 deck in the game right now. Um, so it was a super good pull out of the one box that I've bought. So very happy with that. Paid for basically 3 boxes in itself, but it's
Yeah.
one of those things that I may hold on to just because I don't know. I'm a slut for cool arts, I guess. So
That's the problem with stuff like this is it's like it's worth $300, so it's like I could sell it and get 3 more boxes, but then it's like, but what would I want out of those 3 boxes? Would I just want this card?
mhm.
And so it's like, I don't know. And then also to your point, we are also just huge fans of card games, and the shiny cardboard is definitely a draw. So I totally get that. Um, it looks like she is a uh like a red white card. Are there like colors? Like how to explain a little bit
Yeah,
about this game? I actually don't really know a whole lot. I know there's like ground and air or ground and space
yeah.
combat, but
So in the game, right? There are colors, but you're not color locked. So usually a lot of your leader cards are going to be dual colors. So like Sabine, for example, is well actually I'll do like the deck that I'm building right now. So I'll do Boba Fett, right? So he's yellow and black, right? So like and they both mean like different things. So um basically when you're playing your cards, you want to play on color, but it only has to match up to like one of the colors that you have between your leader and your base. So your leader and your base are on the field at all times.
hmm.
So in my deck, it's yellow, and then the black is like for Imperial units. There's like Imperial, Rebels, like kind of like different things like that without going into like a super amount of detail into it. But so it's yellow, black, and then my base is green. So I can play cards off of those that are basically those three colors and combine them all into my deck. You can play off color stuff, but every card that you play that's like off color from what your leader slash your base is, it costs two more to play than what every other card in your deck play or costs.
I have to pause you for just a second because I came across Han Solo, and this is the weirdest Han Solo art I've ever seen.
Is it the basic leader one?
Yeah, what is going on? Anyway, sorry,
Yeah,
continue.
some of the art,
Like Jin
some of the
Urso
art
looks badass. Like she looks fucking cool. And then I just saw Han Solo. He looks like he's like in a Pixar movie or something.
exactly.
It's
Some of the art
crazy.
is like kind of weird, and
Yeah.
like the card stock is like if you like Battle Spirits cards, this card stock is going to feel terrible. Like it's very thin, but um, the reason I like this game so much is from like a gameplay aspect, right?
Yeah, sorry, continue with your
So
explanation. Yes.
no, the gameplay aspect is super fun. So I really enjoy this a lot. Its resource system is basically you add resources or energy or mana, whatever you like to refer to it as. It all comes from like in your deck. You have to play it out of your hand to add stuff to your resources, and that's basically your energy or mana throughout the turn, right? Um, the turn sequence though is what I think I like the best about this game. So there are like phases, but it's not like how it's Battle Spirits where you have like your core step, draw step, main step, attacks, like all that. It's
Yeah.
basically like you can kind of do whatever you want. So it gives you a lot of freedom. So if I want to draw my cards at the start of the turn, really like the only thing you're locked to is you're drawing at the start, you're refreshing all your stuff at the start, and then you're adding like a mana or resource if you want to. It's optional.
Mm.
But then like I can just jump into like attacking you right away. And unless they play like certain cards that say you have to attack them, you can attack whatever you want on the field. So if I want to get rid of one of your units, I can attack into one of your units. If I want to just keep hitting your base and try to kill you really quick, I can swing into your base. There are units that are called sentinel units, and basically they state that you have to attack them first before you can attack like any other target.
Oh yeah, I
So
see
there's
that.
ways
It's like
like
in a red box. It says Sentinel.
yeah. So there's like different effects and stuff like throughout the game that do different things. Ambush is another big one that you'll see pop up. There is like summoning sickness in this game, so you can't just like play a unit and swing unless it states like you have ambush, and then you can play a unit and swing into one of your opponent's units if you have ambush. If they don't have one, you can't activate it, but there are ways around the summoning sickness. So, um, but like the turn sequence, like it's super nice because you do an action and then your opponent does an action, and basically you can just play off of each other like the whole game, right? So like you have to count your opponent's resources, and they could just not play anything and could attack you three times, and then you use all your resources, so you have to pass, and then they start playing out like three or four cards, and you're like, oh man, like
Mm.
now I'm screwed. So you have to be like really selective on how you play the game, and I think that's what makes it a very competitive game. Is you have to always be aware of what your opponent has available at all times,
Yeah.
and you also just have to be kind of aware of what they're playing. So the nice part about this, right, is at the start of the game, you'll always see their leader and you'll always see their base. So you can always kind of have like a general idea of at least the colors you're playing against.
Yeah.
You may not know like the certain cards they're playing against, but you can always have like an idea of like what type of cards you're going to be playing into. So
That makes sense.
there's different like strategies for each one. Like a lot of like the red cards, I feel like right now are more like focused on like aggressive strategies. Your green cards are more of like your higher end and like ramp strategies. Yellow has like a lot of like battle tricks, kind of like different things around
So,
there.
sounds pretty similar to the colors of other games as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But it's definitely like trying to think of like the best way to put this. It's probably my second favorite game I've played outside of Battle Spirits, just because of like the competitive nature of it. Um,
What's your first?
I also Battle Spirits is still probably my first.
Oh, okay. I thought
So,
when you said outside of Battle Spirits, I thought you meant like there was another one outside of Battle
no,
Spirits,
no, no,
but
no,
no. Okay.
no. But speaking of like card markets and stuff too, like it's a super healthy card market. So the rarities will go like your common cards, and then you have uncommon cards, and then you'll have rare cards, and then you'll have legendary cards. Legendaries are basically kind of like your X rares and stuff like that, and battle spirits for a comparison. But there's certain like staple legendary cards that are selling for insane prices. Darth Vader is one of them. He's a green 7 drop, and when you play him, he has ambush, so you can swing into one of your opponent's units right away. But he also like looks through the top 10 of your cards on your deck, and you can play like a 3 drop or a combined total of 3 drop of units and play them out for free.
Oh my
So he's just
gosh.
like he can sit there and like advance your board, and he swings for like 5 damage and has like 7 defense, because like on each of your cards you'll have your cost in the upper left, and then a red like diamond, and that'll be like how much attack power your card has. And then on the left or on the right side of your card, I'm sorry, will be the blue diamond, and that'll be pretty much like how much health your card has. So once your card like basically runs out of health, then it dies. But having like 7 health is super super big in this game, especially being able to hit for 5 damage. You're clearing a lot of units off the board.
Yeah.
So
It says here that he's
it's like an
selling right now
insane.
on TCG Player for $70. So
Yep. I got lucky when I got mine. I got mine for 40 a piece. Um,
how many copies of cards can you run in a deck?
you, you can run 3 copies per card in your deck.
Okay.
So decks are a minimum of 50, and there's no maximum right now. So the game is Star Wars Unlimited, right? So if you really wanted to play unlimited amount of cards, as long as you have 3 of it, you can play 100 card deck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there is no like straight mill strategy in the game yet. So maybe down the road we get a deck limit, but there is no just deck that says I'm just going to try to deck you out.
Yeah, because you have to destroy the base, right?
Correct. Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah. And each base does like something different. So you have like your common bases. Normally, all your common bases are just going to have 30 health. They're going to be a specific color, and they're not going to do anything. But
Ah,
then you also have some rare bases, and those will be at 25 health, but they'll give you an added effect. Like they'll have their own specific action. So
yeah.
I think probably the best base in the game right now, it's called Energy Conversion Lab.
Oh, I just pulled that one up.
Uh, yeah, so what that one has, it's 25 health, but if you use the action on that,
Uh-huh.
you can play a unit and give it ambush, so it can swing into your like one of your opponent's units like right away.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that
So
just totally gets around the summoning sickness you were talking about.
exactly, but it's on a base, so it's not something that your card specifically has to state as.
That's
But
cool.
there's like some really cool effects like you can plan that with. So there's cards in this game that have an ability called Overwhelm, and that basically says if I swing at one of your units, but my card has higher attack than what your card has health, the extra damage gets dealt to your base. So you can swing in, or you can play a card, use your base to give it ambush, and then you could swing in and kill one of their little guys, and then deal like 4 damage to their base all in the same turn.
Damn.
So it can
Yeah.
really be something to like swing the game in your favor, and just a lot of cool mechanics with it.
So
So,
these common bases that have 30 health, um,
mhm.
but are like, is there a difference between like the Death Star Command Center or Hoth Echo Base? Because they're the same color and they're the same health. Is it just like maybe you pick one of them for thematic reasons? Is that like the idea?
Sometimes yes. There are cards that are linked to each other, so there is like upgrades and stuff that you can get for certain units, and then certain units may say like it plays off of a base. Like you have this base, you get this,
Oh,
this, and this. So that's
so
stuff that we'll probably see more of like later down the road.
that's
But
that's a really cool design, uh, like a way to design these cards because it's like I was thinking like, oh, you just pick it for whatever flavor if you want to play the vanilla base, but then it's like, oh, well, you might have a card that says you can only play this if your base is the Death Star or something, or yeah, that's neat.
mhm.
Um, cool. Well, Cam got some starter decks for this, so I'm definitely excited to try it out with him. I think I'm going to play it a little bit with him this weekend. And I did watch some games that you played the other night. I guess nobody knew that I was in there watching, but the turn structure that you mentioned did look kind of fun. I like the idea of like I take an action, you take an action, I take an action, you take an action, and then when I don't have any more actions to take, I just take the initiative, so I go first.
Mhm.
But then once you take the initiative, then like you can't do anything else for the rest of the round, right?
Correct. Yeah. So once you like take the initiative, that basically means like, hey, my turn's over. I don't have anything else I want to play.
Mm.
Um, and then your opponent can just like basically play out the rest of their turn, right? So it's um it's kind of nice because there's certain times where like maybe your opponent's done, but you want them to go first next turn. Like you want to see what they're gonna do, so you don't have to take the initiative like every turn. So like the initiative is like another tool that can help you like really control the game because it's like,
Mm.
oh, okay, like your base is about dead. You don't have a sentinel unit. I'm gonna take the initiative and I'm just gonna hit your base right away, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Like just things like that. So there's like ways that you can like really control the game and the board and everything just from playing around with the initiative.
Yeah.
You
Or you
said
could be
Cam got
like, I want to
oh
surprise them with this card, so I'm going to let them go first, so that way they do their action first, and then I get a little bit more of an element of surprise because I get to like do something. Like if I'm going to wipe the board or something, maybe I want to like give them the opportunity to play one more unit before I wipe it or something. I don't know if there's
exactly.
board wipes in this game, but you know, that kind of thing. Um,
There's a couple cards. A lot of the removal right now is in blue. So they have like a card that basically says when you play it for 8, you destroy all units, yours and your opponent's. And then there's like some cards that says your opponent picks one of their like non-leader units and destroys it, and like things like that. So there is like removal cards, and like that's another thing. Like you said, like maybe I want to go or don't want to take the initiative because if they play a unit, I have a card in my hand that says I can just kill that thing right away, or I
yeah.
can have a card that says I can bounce it to hand, or pretty much like anything like that. But what else was I gonna say with it? Oh, the main thing like I've really been liking about the game too right now is like there's a super big like local scene pretty much anywhere you're at right now. So it's Star Wars, so like I said, it's a huge IP, so a lot of stores are carrying it. So if you are someone who's interested into the game, like pretty much just call around and you'll probably be able to find a shop remotely close to you that's playing this game. Um, I think here in just Indiana alone, we have 8 shops now that are
Wow.
hosting local events. and those are all within like a 30-minute drive of me.
Man.
So a really good way to get engaged with the community. We already have like an Indiana like Discord for it. A couple of my friends from Battle Spirits are actually like moderators like in the Discord and have been like super big into the game too. So it's like
Yeah.
really cool to see, and like it's a I think it's going to be a very cool experience to like get into your local game store and play it for the first year, because their organized play doesn't come out until 2025. So this is a good time to get yourself involved with the community, get some cards, practice, learn how to play, and just have like a really fun and casual experience with it like year one. And then year two, when you're like, okay, like I understand the ins and outs of this game, I understand how to play. Now I can start going to the events and start playing competitively, and they are going to be offering cash prizing. So I've heard for this game as well. So another incentive to start playing.
Nice. Yeah, so I'll say this really quick because I have been very hesitant to get into this game. And my reasoning is almost entirely because it is a Fantasy Flight game. I've been burned by them like so many times in the past. Um, like Keyforge, Netrunner. I never played it, but L5R. I did play Star Wars Destiny, which was a different Star Wars trading card game they had, and also Star Wars X-Wing. But they, time and time again, like just did not take care of those games and let them die. And some of those games were not even really on a decline. They seemed to be like stronger than they'd ever been, and then they would just kill them. So like I don't know what, maybe something's changed over there. Like I don't know. I'm just very hesitant to give them a chance again. Is kind of my feeling, but I don't know. They've also never had monetary prizing for any of their tournaments before that I'm aware of. Because I've played, I played Netrunner very competitively. I went to the world champs and stuff, but it was always like, the world champ prize was like a trophy and a playmat. So, which is nothing, there's nothing wrong with that. I've just played it because I freaking loved that game. But then also, this is made by a company that in the same breath, I can say, I freaking loved that game, but they also killed it. So, I'm a little
Yeah.
hesitant.
The one thing that I've noticed too, because I have been talking to like some of the guys that I know from Battle Spirits who have like went over into this game, and some of the things that they've said as well is that they're actually communicating very well with the player base,
Hmm.
answering a lot of the questions, giving a lot of good updates on things. So I think they're off to a really good start. Um, I think the game's had a lot of success, just from like their first like weekend and week of sales. It's a lot of interest in this game right now. If they can keep up the communication piece and follow through on what they said about organized play, then I could see this being a very, very successful game. So
Yeah.
they do have a bad reputation, but in the same light, this is their way to mend that, right? Like this could be a potential way for them to bounce back and show everybody, hey, we're not this piece of shit company. We actually know what we're doing, and we can actually continue to run like a very successful and competitive card game. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what they do, and I have high hopes for it based on what I've noticed so far. But that is something that I've heard from just kind of people who have been playing at like local game stores and stuff, is they're like, I really like this game. I just hope this one survives. So
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I love card games. I'm a big Star Wars fan. I really like Star Wars. So, like, this feels like something I would really like. The game itself looks really fun. Fantasy Flight Games, by the way, makes amazing games. Like, mechanically, their games are always like super tight. Like, all of their like board and card games are just, they always feel like they really play tested them to the point where they feel really good. Like I've very rarely have encountered a Fantasy Flight game that didn't feel like it was well balanced, or like didn't feel like mechanically very interesting. But yeah, it's really just the one thing that scares me is just like falling in love with a game only for it to. I have some attachment issues, I guess. to Fantasy Flight games where they've, it's like going back to an ex that has broken up with me like 3 times already, uh, out of the blue. I mean, their communication for Netrunner was incredible until the very end. It was weird because it was like they do a good job of communicating, but then right when the game was like ending, they just totally stopped talking to the players or like saying anything. And then like a few months later, we found out that the game was ending, which I think we all kind of figured it out. We were like being ghosted by Fantasy Flight games, so like we kind of figured it out. But yeah, it's also weird to me because like they did have a different Star Wars TCG in the past in Destiny, and this feels like a very different game than Destiny did. But I mean, Destiny was pretty big. It was at Barnes and Noble and Target, and you could buy and play it in a lot of different places. But yeah, I guess I'll try this. I don't know if I'll pick up anything other than like maybe some starter decks to play around with, but I definitely feel like I could get really into this. I'm just hesitant, but we'll see. Maybe they can impress me if the community is like really huge and like there's a lot of fun stuff going on with this game. It's not something I want to shy away from. I just want to be careful getting into it just because of my own personal past experiences. But do love Star Wars and stormtroopers and lightsabers.
The one thing I will say too, you said Cam got it's a two-player starter kit, right?
Yeah,
So
he bought a couple
you get
boxes too, I think.
yeah, in the two-player starter kit, like the two decks that you get are actually like really good. So
Mm,
when you play, like the one comparison I'll give is like a Battle Spirit starter deck, right? In a Battle Spirit starter deck, like you have your cards. Like usually, if you buy a red starter deck, all your spirits and all your magics and everything are going to be red, right. So they're supposed to synergize with each other.
yeah.
Well, in this, like obviously, it's a multiple color game, so all your cards will be on color for what your deck is, but there are also different colors that allow you to kind of see what the different colors are trying to do.
Mm,
So my leader might be red and my base may be green, but I may be able to play like just a regular like the Imperial, it's black in this game. So like I can just play like a straight black Imperial unit instead of playing like a red or a green card. And it kind of shows you what the Imperial side's trying to do. I can play a green card and it shows me what I'm trying to do. I can play
yeah.
a red card. So you know what I mean?
Gives you
Um,
ideas for like, okay, if I want to dig deeper into this game, I actually really like these green cards, so I think I'm gonna like expand in
mhm.
that direction.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, the decks like synergize super well, right?
Mm,
Um, so the big thing I will like give you a hint on too is like your leader card is probably the most important card in the game.
mm,
So you want your leader card to obviously like stick on the board as long as possible because they do give you like the added effects and are really really good units. So
it looks
in
like,
the starter
so are
deck you
they
get like
like,
Darth Vader and Luke.
oh sorry.
Oh, good.
Oh, I was gonna say, are the leaders like, they're like horizontal at first and then you can like flip them over
Yep.
into like a
So
unit?
each leader contains an epic action, right? So that's once per game that you can perform an epic action. The same thing with like the rare bases. So what they'll state is once you have a certain amount of resources. So in the starter decks, Luke Skywalker is 6, Darth Vader is 7. So once you reach that amount of resources, you can deploy your leader, and your leader doesn't have any summoning sickness. He comes in ready, and he will have like a different, like maybe like on swing effect or just like
Mm,
a different effect in general that can help you kind of like boost up your gameplay. So for example, like I've been using Darth Vader a lot out of the starter decks just from like teaching my friends and stuff. But Darth Vader, he comes in once I have 7 resources. I can deploy him, and your resources don't have to be ready to use that epic action. You can have like 3 exhausted resources, 4 standing, and I can still deploy my lead.
oh wow, okay, so you
Um,
just have to be at that number.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So he comes in, and basically what he says is like on swing, you deal 2 damage to a unit. So that's before like any of your damage comparison or anything like that. you just straight up deal 2 damage to a unit. So it's a really good way to kind of like poke damage around the board and get like a really good board control strategy going on. And then also in the decks, you have like some upgrades to your leaders. So in Vader, they have a card that's called Vader's Lightsaber. So you can attach it onto Darth Vader, and it gives him +3 in his attack power and +1 in his total health pool. And then once you play that card, you deal 4 damage to any unit. I'm pretty sure. So there's like different tools you can play like with your leader, and it's just like really cool. You'll definitely understand it once you start playing like with it more,
Yeah.
how your cards like synergize and like get you to the point to where it's like once I get my leader on board, I now see how these other 4 cards in hand help me like progress the game even further once my leader hits the board.
Nice. Yeah, I mean,
So really good product design.
as someone who is a card game player, I feel like just from watching you play the other night, I pretty much figured out how it works. But the nuance part is definitely, just something I'd have to learn from playing it. Uh,
Hmm.
of just like when to play things, when to hold back, when to attack. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, Fantasy Flight does design really, really smooth games. So definitely interested in trying it out. I'll have to see what I think after I play the starter decks that Cam has. I will say some of the art is really good, but they definitely did Chewbacca and Han Solo dirty. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
shame.
it's a very specific art style,
Yeah,
right? So some people may love it. I like to describe it as like comic book art is
yeah,
kind of what it reminds me of. So some people may love it, some people may hate it, but
yeah.
I
Chewbacca looks a
personally am not like
little.
the biggest fan of the art, but I think the gameplay makes up for it.
Yeah, Chewbacca looks a little bit like Grimace from McDonald's. He's
Yeah, it's
gonna like sell me a cheeseburger or something.
gonna
Um,
give you a shake.
yeah. I've always wondered what Grimace was. Like, have you ever thought about what Grimace is from McDonald's?
Maybe Grimace is actually a Wookiee
Maybe
and
he is. Maybe he's a purple Wookiee. Um,
he escaped.
yeah, it could be.
What's
I just have always wondered, like,
the
is he supposed to be
pickle?
like a shake, or is he supposed to be like a purple chicken nugget or something? I don't really know.
Um, I've heard somebody like once told me when I was a kid that he was a tongue. I've always been kind of like
Ah,
scarred from that.
that's
So
awful.
like, yeah, that's why I didn't partake in trying the Grimace shake. Like, yeah, I don't know if I want a tongue shake. That doesn't sound the greatest. So,
La lengua. Like get him from a taco truck.
oh yeah,
Grimace
the
shake.
lingua shake
Yeah. I've
sounds
never
delicious.
I never had the Grimace shake, but I think it's long past. It's no longer something I can do at this point. I don't think they have it anymore. Anyways, Star Wars game looks cool. Yeah, I'm excited to try it out, and I'll definitely, if there's a lot of interest in our little community for this, I think we can create like a little Discord channel for it or something. Again, I am gonna be hesitant getting into it just because of my past, but if it's a fun game and I do enjoy playing it, who am I kidding? I'm probably gonna end up buying a bunch of cards. But it just depends on whether or not I want to go down that road. But I'm definitely excited to give it a try. Well,
Awesome.
uh,
Hopefully, we get to play some games in the future then.
yeah, there's also there's like the TTS mod as well, so we could do that.
Yep.
Could also uh, play some webcam games or something. But
Sure.
yeah, I'll have to see if there's some places near us that play it. I know that Cam was gonna go to a locals last night actually, near us. So there's definitely some spots. I have to check it out. But cool. Well, anything else you want to talk about, Andrew, on today's episode of Absolute BSS?
Nothing too crazy. To the Nexus podcast, boys. I am personally excited to hear what you guys have brewing as well
Yeah.
for this event that you guys got coming up. So I'll definitely be tuning in and seeing what you guys cook up. So
Oh yeah. Oh, did
I'm
they talk
super
about something
excited.
on their podcast? I haven't watched the newest episode yet.
They have not.
Oh, okay.
But I just am proposing a challenge to Kieran to get it finished because I want some news. So
Oh, we have something. That's what I was referencing earlier, actually. So that's why I was surprised you mentioned that. But I mean, I guess you know about it. But yeah, we're brewing something up with those boys across the pond. So we'll hopefully have some news or something to do with that soon. Probably play some games. I already volunteered you as our fourth person, Andrew. I hope you don't mind.
boy, that is fine. So now I'm really calling you out, Kieran. That's
Yeah.
weird.
Well, because there's four of them, and it wouldn't be fair to fight three of us, right? You know. Um,
That's fair.
and also, now that you're on our team, you're gonna carry us. So I'm really glad you're here.
Easy, easy. I don't know. No, they're all insanely good players. I've been playing with Josh for a while. Emmy obviously had a
Yeah.
really good run
Well, I
at
wasn't saying that
PT3.
they were bad. I was saying that we.
Oh,
I
okay,
was saying
okay.
that we are bad, and that you are really good.
No, I have faith.
Yeah.
We can do this. We got to do it for
We just
the USA boys.
we just need to get like 7 shots of tequila into Cam, and then he'll take all of his games to time. So.
I like that.
All right.
Only
Well,
if Owen comes over, he may win. So maybe we
yeah.
need to schedule something.
If Cam wins, I think Owen is obligated to come over actually at that point. So.
There's some extra motivation for you, Cam.
Yeah. Well, definitely excited for some stuff we've got brewing in the future, and I'm excited to try the Star Wars game out. Thanks for joining me today, Andrew. Really appreciate you coming on. It's too bad Cam and Angel couldn't be here with us, but definitely had a lot of fun talking to you. And yeah, if anybody else watching, join the Discord. Link in the description. Come subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to do some more live streaming content. Actually, we noticed that we recently had our first ever like super official executive team meeting, which is just Cam and Angel and I meeting together to discuss our YouTube metrics and stuff. And we noticed that people really like live stream content, so we're trying to do more of that for sure. And I honestly love live streaming because it's like I get to actually talk and communicate with people who are watching in the moment. So I'm definitely excited to do some more of that. But yeah, if you subscribe to our channel, hit the little bell icon or whatever all the YouTubers ask you to do, you'll be notified whenever we go live and whenever we release a new episode or a new video. So it would be really help us out if you could do that. All right. Well, thanks for joining, Andrew. I will see you next time, everybody. Goodbye.
Later.